This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. I really had a Hakdama. It should have taken about 10 minutes, but I think my 10 minutes are up. Just like to introduce the first speaker tonight. I want to thank Agudas Yisroel for organizing this event, and I want to thank Rabbi Glatstein, a Mechaber of Sporim, a Rabbi Tiferes Morfe in the parts towns, very well known, spoken here in school before, and I'm sure everybody will be enriched by the wonderful words that he will have to say, to be followed by Rabbi Gold of Donner, Died of London. I want to thank them both for coming here and giving the Los Angeles women an opportunity for gaining from their greatness. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rabbi Glatstein.
Good evening, everyone. Baruchim Abam. It's a great honor to be here tonight. I actually just landed. Not just. I was here at least a good 20 minutes already. And we're here, it's a week before Yom Tov, a week before Kabalas Hatorah. And perhaps for this venue, maybe the thought entered your mind, maybe this year, maybe in the past. Shavuos. That's like the men's Yom Tov, right? What exactly is our connection to Kabalas Hatorah, to the Yom Tov of Shavuos? So I want to tell you about a bris milah that took place. A historic bris milah took place about 70 years ago. It was a bris for the grandson of Rav Moshe Chevroni, who is also, by the way, the grandson of the Ger Rebbe. And this bris was like a who's who of all the Gedolei Yisrael. You had individuals there. The grandson of the Chafetz Chaim, the grandson of the Slonim Rebbe, the grandson of the Vishnitzer Rebbe, the Ger Rebbe, the Alter of Nevardik, the Alter of Slobodka, and the grandson of the Alter of Kelm. If you were somebody, you were at this bris. And Rabbi Cheskel Sarna, the Rosh Yeshiva of Chevron, who, shall we say, he knew how to stir up the pot, he began to do so. And he posed a very controversial question. You should know this story. He said, I want to ask you, in the last 100 years, who was the most influential individual for the Jewish people? And I know you're thinking it was your Zayda, the Alter of Nevardik, the Alter of Kelm, the Alter of Slobodka, the Chafetz Chaim, the Slonim Rebbe. And I'm here to tell you, you're all dead wrong. And the people at the bris, they're getting very uncomfortable. They came to enjoy a bagel, and this rabbi is, irking them. People said, outrageous. People asked Rabbi Cheskel Sarna to sit down. This is a simcha. Why are you starting up with all the guests? And he said more. The one who did the most for Klal Yisrael in the last 100 years never learned a blot Gemara. So they took the cane, and they wanted to yank him down. And he said, I'll tell you one more thing. When I tell you the name, you'll all agree with me. Sarah Schenirer. A few days ago, I was in Krakow at the location of the very first Beis Yaakov. Actually, I have a family connection to Sarah Schenirer. My great-grandfather was the last Rav of the city of Sachachav, and Sarah Schenirer came to stay in my great-grandfather's house in Sachachav to introduce the idea of starting the Beis Yaakov. She slept in the same room as my grandmother. In fact, my grandmother's sister was on her way from Sachachav to Krakow to attend. She got into the first Beis Yaakov, and then the war broke out, and she had to turn around. Recently I heard that Rav Aaron Kotler made a similar statement. That Rav Aaron Kotler said, all of Torah in America is because of one person, Rebbetzin Vichna Kaplan. So I was a little bit incredulous. Rav Aaron said that? I asked around, did Rav Aaron say that? I don't know, I asked people in yeshiva, nobody ever heard that. Who said Rav Aaron said that? I don't believe these stories. When I was a kid, I used to go to Rav Avigdor Miller. I used to walk. I grew up in Flatbush. I went to Rav Miller. So Rav Miller would say, 90% of Gedolim stories never happened. And even this story that I'm telling you, Rav Miller didn't say that either. So I asked around, did Rav Aaron Kotler, so somebody in the Svarim store, I went into the Svarim store, the local Svarim store, Ari in the Svarim store said, it's in the book. I said, which book? He said, the biography of Rebbetzin Vichna Kaplan. Do you have the book? I didn't have the book, but I know the author. The author is the late wife of our Rosh Hashiva, of Henoch Leibowitz. So I called up the Rebbetzin. I said, Rebbetzin Leibowitz, did Rav Aaron Kotler say this? She said, something like that. I said, what do you mean something like that? She said, Rav Aaron said that you can't build Torah in America if you don't have girls who want to marry somebody who wants to go into long-term learning. I said, is it in the book? She said, I think so. I said, what page? So she said, I'll call you back. She called me back 20 minutes later, page 344. Rav Aaron knew that for Yiddishkeit to flourish in America, there had to be advanced learning, and that would only happen if there were koilalim, and there could only be koilalim if people would marry the Bnei HaYeshiva. And then I remember that when I was a kid, Rav Miller made the same type of statement. But Rav Miller went a little bit back in time, and Rav Miller said, all the Torah that Klal Yisrael has today is because of one person. And this person saw a diamond in the rough. She saw a complete ignoramus, and she encouraged him. She said, if you go off to yeshiva, you can make something of yourself. And this individual became, in a certain sense, even greater than Moshe Rabbeinu. There are many Ramazim to Rabbi Akiva, both in the beginning of Vayikra. I'm still in Krakow right now, so I was just by the Megala Amukos. Megala Amukos says, Vayikra starts with an Aleph Ze'ira. Aleph Ze'ira is Gematria, Rabbi Akiva. Vayikra ends, B'chol Masar, Bakar, Vatsoin, Kol Asher Yavar, Tachas HaShavet, Ha'asiri, Yeh Kodesh Lashem, also a remez to Rabbi Akiva, the 10th of the Asar Harugei Malchus. Rabbi Akiva reached a madrega in a certain sense that even Moshe Rabbeinu didn't reach. The Medrash says, V'chol yakar ra asa einai, Gala Hashem l'Rabbi Akiva mashalai Gala l'Moshe Rabbeinu. Even the Sharnun, Chamishim Shari Bina Nivru Ba'olam Kulam Nitna l'Moshe Chasar Achas, but Rabbi Akiva even had access to the Sharnun. Where did he get it from? Rachel. But then Rabbi Akiva lost all 24,000 Talmidim, Ad Shabo, l'Rabbi Seinu Shabadaraim, and Vehem Hem Hamidu Es HaTorah, says Rabbi Miller, all the Torah that Klal Yisrael has is because of one Isha Tzadekes, Rachel Eshes Rabbi Akiva. So if you want to know, who does Shavuos belong to? Says Rav Moshe Feinstein, it's printed in the newest Chelek of the Igros Moshe. Koisoima lebeis Yaakov first, and only then v'saged lebnei Yisrael. Because without koisoima lebeis Yaakov, you have nothing to start with. That's the foundation. That's the very basis. I want to tell you a story. I haven't said this story in many years. I don't know why. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in the mood of this story. Don't ask what that means. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, Rebbe Vadya's Rebbetzin Margalit, she passed away, and there were Hespedim in America, and one of the Rabbanim said over the following story at the Hesped for Eishes Rebbe Vadya Yosef. The story is about the shidduch of Rabbi Vadia and his Eshes Chaya. So the father of the prospective Kala comes into the yeshiva to Rabbi Ezra Atiyah, and he says, I need a very learned boy for my daughter. So the Rosh Yeshiva says, Avadia Yosef, he's head and shoulders above everyone else. He said, great, tell him to come over tomorrow night. Rabbi Vadia, if you look at the pictures of him, he was a very striking young man. And the father said, make sure he puts himself together for the date. And he knocks on the door. And he sits down with the father. And they start talking and learning. And Rabbi Vadia was a very pleasant conversationalist. And they're talking back and forth. Melchamta shel Torah, a half hour pass, an hour pass, 2 hours pass, 3 hours pass. It's 11 p.m. and the poor girl is still waiting inside of her room. They didn't call her out yet. The father looks at the client. Father says, you can't go out for a walk at 11 p.m. Come back tomorrow. She's fuming. What were you talking about? You forgot that he didn't come to meet you. I'm sorry, it's my fault. We got carried away. He's such a big Talmud Chacham. We got caught up in a conversation. He comes the next night. Nachamal, they're talking. This sugya, that sugya, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. It's midnight. She's still waiting in the room. She said, what's wrong with him? He's not a mensch. He came to see me. He doesn't have a clock, he doesn't have a watch, there's no clock in the house. After a half hour, so stop talking. I'm not going out with him. The father begs, you don't know what you're giving up on. He's mamish, budding Talmud Chacham. Give it a try. It's my fault. I shouldn't have brought up the subject. She said, I'll go out on one condition. Al manas, you don't talk. Give him a piece of cake. Give him a coffee. And, I don't know, say you have a tainas dibur or something. So he comes in the third night. And the father puts out a piece of cake. Puts out a coffee. He's being antisocial. And after Rabbi Vadia eats the cake, he makes an alamichya, and the father doesn't make an alamichya. So he said, why didn't you make an alamichya? He said, I didn't eat it b'chdei achilas pras. So Rabbi Vadia asked him a kasha. And nachamal, a whole sugya, the whole echazer, the whole brachas. This is exactly how it happened. It's 11:30 p.m. She's livid. She says, try somebody else. I'm not marrying a chavrusa. I don't understand what's going on. I told you, don't even talk to him. So the father tells this young man, I don't know, maybe try another time. He comes back the next night, and the father is white-faced. The father is mamish embarrassed. She says, B'shum oifin, she doesn't want to talk to you, she's not going to look at you, forget it, it's not happening. So Rabbi says, can I just speak to her for 2 minutes? The father said, there's nothing you could tell her. It's over, sorry. Believe me, I want it more than you do, this is not happening. He says, I just need 2 minutes with her. Somehow, Avadia Yosef convinces the father to have 2-minute conversation with this girl. 2 minutes later, they come out, Mazel Tov! They're engaged. That's exactly what happened. The father asks him, what did you tell her? And when I heard this story, it really brought tears to my eyes. He said, I told her, you give me Olam Hazeh, and I will bring you L'chai Olam Haba. That was the Shidduch of Rabbi Yosef. He built the Malchus in Eretz Yisrael, sons Go'inei Olam, a Malchus of Yeshivas. That's what marriage is in Klal Yisrael. That's what a bias is in Klal Yisrael. That's the role of the Beis Yaakov in Klal Yisrael. The understanding that we're building Nitzchias. The understanding we're building eternity. The understanding that it's about going L'chaye Olam Haba. So what is Torah? We live in a world where everything we see, everything we read, everything we hear is antithetical to the true value of Torah. I want to give you a little mashal, what Torah is. So you have a guy, he's sitting in an office in Manhattan in a skyscraper, in a very comfortable office. And he's sitting back in his recliner, and the air conditioning is going, and he's in a very comfortable setting. And he's drinking cold water with ice, and he even has a lemon in it. And somebody passes by his office room, and he starts crying, "My merciful friend, have mercy on me." The guy thinks, "What do you need? You need oxygen? Are you about to die?" "No, peach snapple! Peach snapple! Can I please have peach snapple? Have mercy on me!" What would you say? Guy's out of his mind. Have mercy on you? You're entitled to drink peach snapple. Say, "Could you please do me a favor? I'm spoiled. I already have water, but I'm really in the mood of peach snapple. You want to bring me some peach snapple? Otherwise I'm going to fire you." But not have mercy on me. Imagine if the boss would say, "Did you remember when your grandfather was in the Holocaust? My grandfather risked his life to give him a piece of bread, so please bring me peach snapple." It's insane. You're invoking Zechus Avos for peach snapple? That's a luxury. You don't ask for mercy when you want a luxury. But what about a guy, he's in a desert, and he hasn't had a morsel of food or drink in 71 hours. And he's dying of dehydration. And he's about to perish. And he sees somebody with a bottle of water. Would he ask, "I was just wondering, maybe, if you don't mind, if you happen to have a little bit of extra, no pressure, could I have a little water?" That guy is equally insane. He's about to die. It's his life. That's not how you ask for life. He needs to beg. He needs to ask for mercy. If we were to study the davening, says the Chafetz Chaim, and identify what is the most impassioned plea we make the entire day, of all the things that we need in life, shidduchim, health, parnasa, of all of the things we need in this world, what do we ask for with the most impassioned pain and anguish and request? Avinu of Harachamon, Hamerachem, Rachem Aleinu. We say, "Merciful Father, who has mercy, have mercy on us." Ooh, we must be asking for something very important. What are we going to ask for? Are we going to ask for health? No, even health doesn't get such a request. Are we going to ask for nachas from our children? Even that doesn't get such a request. Of all the things in this world, the one which is considered the most basic, that which we need more than anything else, is v'sein b'libeinu lahavin ulahaskel l'shmaya lilmaid ulalamed. Hashem, please help me have a connection with the Torah. That is what we ask for with the most desire, passion, and pain. Because without it, we understand, Ki Heim Chayenu. There is nothing that deserves a request for mercy more than life itself. We don't ask for Torah like we're asking for Snapple. We ask for Torah like we're asking for water. Do you understand that to be in this world, a world in 2024, which is so empty and meaningless and cold and directionless, without the Torah, you know what that would mean for us? There is nothing in this world that we request for more. than to have a connection with the Torah. How are we going to embrace the Torah? How are we going to hold on to the Torah? You know the guy who fell into the river? Guy fell into a raging river. And he's rushing down, and at the end of the river there's a big waterfall, and that's going to be the end of him. And he sees this tree. This tree is hanging over the river. And he knows, or she knows, that this tree is the only hope. How are you going to hang on to that tree? Is now a time for shenanigans? Well, let me try. I'm a righty. I'm going to try with my left hand with my pinky. Or I'm going to try one-handed. Or if you know that this is your survival and this is your life, you're going to grab onto that tree with every fiber of your being. Says Reb Chaim Belazhener, we say about the Torah, Eitz Chayim Hi Lama Chazikim Ba. The Torah is a tree of life, but only if you hang on to it. Not with one finger, not with one hand, not with two hands. You gotta hang on to the Torah with every fiber of your being, because it's life itself. One of the favorite Shavuos minhagim is we have dairy on Shavuos. There are many, many reasons for this minhag, but did you know what is the first reason supplied in the Rishonim for the minhag of having dairy on Shavuos? The Kolbai writes, because the Torah is so delicious, it's so sweet, it's so delectable. What do we say in Shiurim? Devash v'chalav tachas l'shoinech. It's like honey and milk under your tongue. By the way, Chassam Sofer writes, you have regards from the Chassam Sofer. I was just at his kever on Sunday. He says hello. Chassam Sofer writes, what it says about the Torah, Devash v'chalav tachas l'shoinech. Take the first letter of the Torah, Beis. Take the last letter of the Torah, Lamed. Take the middle letters of the Torah, Darosh, Darash, Shin, Daled. The Vav and the Ches of Gachain. You know what that spells? Devash v'chalav. Says the Chassam Sofer. It's Devash v'chalav tachas l'shoinech. The Torah is so delectable, it's so sweet. It has the power of honey. So the Chafetz Chaim, in the introduction to Likutei Halachos, says, what does it mean that Torah has the power of sweetness of honey? Chafetz Chaim says an amazing thing. Don't try this at home. But halachically, honey is so powerful. Honey looks like an innocuous food. It's the most powerful food known to man. If you put a piece of bread in honey, the honey will act on the bread, dissolve the bread, and the bread will completely disintegrate in the honey. Furthermore, halacha l'maisa, you have a piece of ham. Don't try this at home, but it's halacha l'maisa. You have a piece of pig. It falls into honey. It disintegrates. What do you do with the honey? You eat it. Chafetz Chaim writes it. Chafetz Chaim was an Orthodox rabbi. We follow what he says. The Chafetz Chaim writes in the Hakdama to Likutei Halachos, honey is so powerful that it could dissolve even a davar treif, even a nevela, and a nasis devash. Says the Chafetz Chaim, the Torah is like honey. You could take an individual, they could be rotten to the core, they could be arrogant and angry and jealous and full of all kinds of bad character traits. And if they immerse themselves fully in the sweetness of Torah, umachsharto liyos tzadik, says the Chafetz Chaim, machsharto is a lashon of, it koshers them. It renders them kosher. It transforms them. That's the power of the sweetness of Torah. That's the gift the Rebbeinu Shalom gave us. So I'll tell you a little secret. Rabbi Yashiv writes, there's one other holy entity that has the power of Davash, that could transform a bad situation, maybe a bad personality, or a difficult spouse, or a difficult child, and sweeten them, and transform them. Rabbi Yashiv says, Isha is Gematria Dvash. That the Ribono Shel Olam endowed the Nashim Tzidkanios of Klal Yisrael, that through their dedication and devotion to Torasenu HaKadosha, that they too are imbued with this ability, that they could take a difficult situation, individual, personality, relative, and they could take it, and with emunah, and with devekus to Torah, they could transform it, umachshartoi liyos tzaddik. That's the Yom Tov of Shavuos. That is every Jew's connection to the Yom Tov of Shavuos, to Torasenu HaKadosha, which is Dvash v'chalav tachas l'shoinech. But we have to make sure that if you want to have the life-giving bracha of Torah, you got to make sure it's lamachazikim ba, that we embrace it, we grab onto it, we hold on to it with every fiber of our being. And if we're able to do that, we'll be zoicha dvash v'chalav tachas l'shoinech. The Rebbeinu Shalom will give us siyata d'shmaya, bezos Hashem, banim v'nei banim oiskim haTorah v'mitzvahs. We should all see nachas de kedusha from all of our mikol yotzei chalotzenu. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I wish you a chag kosher v'sameach. Bracha v'hatzlacha. Thank you.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.